We know everything as wrestling fans. Every booking decision or future main event we have already figured out because we're brilliant. That's right, somebody give us a medal. Sadly, none of that is true, and in fact, we know jack all, but that works for today because boy, do I have some doozies for you to tell your friends and act like a big shot. For I am Simon from What Culture, please do hit that subscribe button. This is 10 wild wrestling plans that were just now discovered. Number 10, the Shotgun Saturday Night Tough Guy Champion. Straight from the Jim Cornette podcast for this one, and man, it has been 25 years and I don't think anyone was overly aware of this. Jim, of course, blamed it all on Vince Russo, and while that could be accurate, those two dudes hate each other, so who knows. Pitched before a Raw in March of 1997, Russo apparently went to Vince McMahon and said the idea of a tough guy champion would tie into their new show that was about to launch, Shotgun Saturday Night. The title would only be defended on these events, and every single match would have some sort of gimmick, such as a barroom stall in each man's corner, some tables, or whatever worked. Russo also wanted Crush to be the first guy to hold this belt, or at least that's what I assumed when I first heard this, but Vince had other plans. He thought whoever stood tall should just wear a badge. Okay then. Number 9, 2 minutes with Jake the Snake. Unfortunately, this wasn't a chat show that would see Jake talk to his opponents in that low, slow, deep delivery of his, but instead was another Vince Russo classic. For he envisioned a world where wrestlers would have to take on Mr. Snake, and if they couldn't beat him in 120 seconds, they would be forced to leave the WWF. I mean, what? I do like the concept, but surely if you're only going to have a 2-minute match, you want a back and forth that's quite brisk and fast-paced. Jake Roberts was a truly gifted performer, but even he would tell you that wasn't his wheelhouse. Why we were going to start flinging employees out the door was also never answered, and surprise, surprise, this was never signed off. I don't even hate the concept, just why with Jake the Snake Roberts? The man could talk people into buildings. He didn't need a weird gimmick. Number 8, the WILDCARD Extra Match. Another Vince Russo suggestion revealed by the Jim Cornette podcast. Apparently, a WILDCARD Extra Match was once on the cards. No idea what that is, neither did I. Basically though, 2 recognizable stars would kick things off, and after 5 minutes or so, an extra would enter the ring. Again, why this dude was here, nobody knows, but if any of our featured wrestlers beat them, they'd also win the entire thing. I mean, that just hurts my head, and there's every chance I've not explained it right because it makes no sense. It would also mean that the fictional record books would have to state Superstar A was victorious over Superstar P after pinning Random Man 4. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't think that's going to be headlining WrestleMania anytime soon, is it? Number 7, the time limit draw. A time limit draw is very hard to pull off. The idea is that 2 performers have such a good match that they arrive at a stalemate, leaving the fans desperate to see them go at it again. We needed a winner, and this just whet the appetite. We do now go back to Vince Russo after we have established all this, because he did indeed want to bring this to Shotgun Saturday Night. In short, he wanted the last minute of the main event to appear on the big screen so the crowd could count the time down. Now that's fine, but all it does is inform the audience that the fight is definitely about to finish based on television time remaining, and that takes away all the drama and surprise. People definitely would have been shocked too, as Russo also wanted to start these matches with a shotgun blast instead of the opening ring bell. And whether or not he actually wanted to shoot a gun, I don't know. Number 6, the flashlight match. In case you don't know, if you ever hear somebody talk about a dark match, they are referring to a contest that takes place away from the TV cameras. It will still be filmed, but as it's not airing for public consumption, it is considered dark, nice and simple. When Vince Russo, yep, him again, learned about this, however, he wanted to take it more literally. For his plan was to actually turn off the lights and give fans torches so they would serve as the brightness needed to actually have a wrestling match. He, of course, wanted to do this on Shotgun Saturday Night, and in hindsight, all of this madness likely would have made that show more interesting. The thing is, what if people had decided they didn't want to use their torch? Or what if a number of them broke? Or what if some fool decided to point it at themselves rather than towards the ring? So it was flawed, but hey, at least he tried. Number 5, the YOKOZUNA plan. You are now seeing a pattern to this list because yes, it's Vince Russo and Shotgun Saturday Night, once more from the mouth of Jim Cornette. Let's just assume that's the case unless I say otherwise. He did have 2 ideas for YOKOZUNA when the weekend rolled around though, because why not bring the former WWF champion to the ring and tell a fan to try and guess his weight? The result would have been work to try and get Yoko over, so that's just silly, but somebody would win a prize. Sadly, this then falls off the rails even more, as said award was going to be a sushi dinner and that's definitely offensive, which is likely why Vinny also pinched something else. Because in this scenario, several local wrestlers would step on a scale, and when their total combined weight was the same as Zoon's, the master of the bonsai drop would take all of them on at once. Of course, he would destroy them, but actually, that would be quite fun. It never happened. Number 4, a you call the spot match. Okay, I don't want to ruin your day, but wrestling is predetermined. Yep, wrestlers will either plan spots in the back or call them in the ring, and that simply means a chain or sequence of moves they're going to do. It's like a play in American football. So when Russo heard about this, he thought the best way to take advantage of it was to have a special type of fight where the fans get to decide what these are. That's right. He wanted 2 humans to stand in the ring as the crowd shouted things like clothesline, drop down, tackle. That never would have happened though, and what we would have got instead is dive, dive, springboard, dive. So basically what we have today. I do think this would have been hilarious, but would it have worked? No, not at all. I mean, what if the guys in the ring can't hear these instructions either? You just stand still and freak out. Number 3, the beautiful BUXOM referee. We are going to zoom through this one as it's too much, but yes, this is basically the long and the short of it. Jim Cornette claims Russo wrote this down on a piece of paper, and I suppose it did happen over the years, but it was never turned into an actual thing, and thank goodness we are all past this. It is just not cool. Number 2, a shelved magazine cover. So this one is still Russo, but it comes from WWF photographer Tom Buchanan, and if this is true, well, my word. It was 1998 though, and the World Wrestling Federation magazine was likely at its peak in many ways because it had 2 different versions. You had the more family-friendly WWF iteration, and then there was Raw, which embraced a more edgy form of content and a lot of exclamation marks. To try and lean into this, an idea was pitched to celebrate Independence Day that would see D-Generation expose news of the American flag with a piece of wood poking out from behind that would insinuate that China had a penis. Yes, you heard that right. Thankfully, this never happened, but what a horrible way to view Joni Laura. Although huge props to whoever nixed this and shut it down, it may be wrestling, but you can still have respect for people. Number 1, the original Forbidden Door. Right, we have been negative Nancy's enough throughout this list, so let's end with some positive Pete. The Forbidden Door pay-per-view that happened in 2022 was a huge success both in the ring and out of it, but the final card was not what we were meant to get. We all know CM Punk got injured beforehand, stopping his match with Tanahashi, leaving Jon Moxley to step in. The question then is, what would Mox have been doing if all had gone to plan? Well, he would have been re-teaming with Shota Umino, who he had quite the relationship with during his initial New Japan run. This would have meant the opening match would have been an 8-man tag with Jake Hager joining Chris Jericho's crew, and while what we got was likely better, it would have rocked to have seen Mox and the Shooter back together. I mean, just go watch them interact from a couple of years ago. It was wholesome, slightly aggressive entertainment. Know of any other wild wrestling plans that were just now discovered? Make sure you let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Then head over to whatculture.com where you can read yourself some articles. Make sure you come follow us on social media, and we do have other list videos. Please do go check them out. My name is Simon from What Culture. Thank you very much for joining me as always. And it's time to ask yourself that question again. Is he wearing clothes or not? You shall never know.